All right, everybody, it's 7 o'clock. It's actually 6:30. I said it'll be 7, but I'm a little early. It's 7 o'clock, and welcome to Keep Talking 365, the sports edition. We are going to be giving you Murph's NFL picks for the evening. I got to tell you, I didn't really do too good last week because, I don't know, I just kind of like take a freaking dart and throw it at it. That's kind of like what gambling is with me. But you know what, though? It makes for good talk. You think you know what you're talking about. You lay out a game plan and then you pick the team, and then it doesn't always come out the way it's planned because if you heard my rant last week, it's football fixed. I don't know, man. I really hope not, but it's really getting to that point where these point spreads are really close. Stuff's happening. I don't know, man. But it does make for good sports talk radio, and I could give you my picks. You could go with them or not, but I suggest you choose that you don't because last week I got 5 right out of the 12 football games. But before I go into my picks, we need to talk about a little something here first. I want to talk about this kid today from the Dallas Cowboys. Tragic, tragic thing happened to his family and the Dallas Cowboy organization and all his family members. This young man last week, after playing a football game with the Dallas Cowboys, scored a touchdown last week. All happy, all smiling. He had the world by the balls. He's 24 years old. Today, it's been discovered that this young man took his own life at 24 years old. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happened before he took his own life. I read a quick story today from one of the Dallas newspapers saying that there was a wellness check around 11:30 that evening, and obviously he wasn't there because at that time he was being chased by the police. I guess he was speeding or some kind of traffic infraction, but the police were chasing him, and I guess they never caught up to him. So I guess he took off. I guess he somewhat crashed his car, or it wasn't that bad to where he was able to get out of his car and run. Cops had no longer been chasing him, so he just chose to get out of the car and run. About 1:30 in the morning, they found this young man's body with a bullet to the head. He committed suicide. This is tragic on so many levels because with athletes and football players in particular these days, you hear in these stories about these young men getting hits to the head their entire life. There's that story about Junior Seau. You guys all know Junior Seau, San Diego Chargers back in the day, played for the Patriots, Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know if anybody's seen a documentary on him, but he actually took his own life and he shot himself in the chest and left a note and said that, "Can you please examine my brain? There's something wrong with me." These football players are getting hit harder and harder. And look, it's a sport that they choose to play. They know that this might happen, but when your brain gets knocked around like that, it causes something called CTE. And I'm not a doctor. You could go look that up. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but all you hear about is a lot of these guys that have taken their own lives or even murdered somebody or just done some crazy stuff. They've all been diagnosed with CTE. Aaron Hernandez, his brain was riddled with CTE. The guy that just shot up the NFL studios or the NFL headquarters in Manhattan, he was diagnosed with CTE. All combat sports in general. I'm sure UFC guys go through it. Soccer players go through it. Combat sports. If you're going to get hit in the head, you're going to get CTE eventually, and your brain is just going to stop working. It's going to work differently. His girlfriend was asked where he was. She said that he had left and said that he's probably not going to come back. He's probably going to take his own life. So she knew something was going on there. So there's been a past history of mental health with this young man. I mean, I would have to assume there's some players on the team that maybe tried to take him under his wing, maybe try to talk to him. But I don't know if you listened to my podcast in the past, but I talk a lot about men's mental health and how it creeps up on you. And sometimes we don't even know it's even there. People around us, people that love us are telling us, but we just refuse to believe it because we don't think it's there. It's mental illness, guys. It's out there and it's there. And this young man suffered. He suffered so much that, yeah, you could say he was a successful football player, played football his whole life. And I guess the pinnacle of what you're going to do is you're going to make the NFL. You get to the NFL, score a touchdown last week. I don't really know off the top of my head any of this young man's other other accolades or how many tackles he had or whatever, but I just know that he was depressed or he was sick or he was something, and something in his mind told him that it was the right thing to do to blow his brains out, and that is sad on so many levels. So I do a couple of videos here and there, and I know, when something like this happens, even when something doesn't happen like this, I always like to put it out there. Check on your friends, guys. I mean, men, you have friends that are always happy. You have friends that are sad sometimes. You have friends that are angry. You have friends that are happy all the time. All those guys might be battling some demons that you guys don't even really know about. And if you're a really true friend, you'll kind of stop every once in a while and be like, "Hey, everything okay?" And that's what the measure of a true friend is. And I just wish that maybe somebody could have grabbed this young man and spoken to him and told him that no matter what it wasn't worth taking his own life. And again, I don't know what the peripherals of his life are, but he chose to take his own life. And that's very sad on so many levels, guys. I'm sorry to open up the show like that with such a somber note, but I really didn't hear about this until this evening. My sister texted me at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and she rarely texts me with any sports news. And she asked me if I had seen the story, and I really hadn't got a chance to really look into it up until later on when I was on my way home from the train. And it's a really, really heart wrenching story. And I know everybody out there says, whatever it was, like, maybe, I don't even know what his contract is. Does he make a lot of money? Like, is he privileged but all I know is that I don't know where the kid comes from. I don't know his backstory. I don't know his life, but something was wrong and somebody unfortunately didn't catch it. So speeding, being chased for something, kid takes his own life. And now he's not playing football anymore. He's got family that's going to miss him. I don't know if he has any children. He was 24 years old. He was kind of young. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I know he has a girlfriend who kind of knew that this was going to happen. So this young man was suffering for a long time, and it's really tragic. So now on to my quick rundown of the NFL games for this week. Now we got a pretty decent card of games on the table. We got tonight's game starting with the Raiders. Now the Raiders are playing in Denver tonight. Now, if you want to look at the Raiders from a whole, the Raiders are last in points scored and they're last in total yards. They have Geno Smith as their quarterback. They have Gentry as their running back. They don't really have too many good wide receivers. Tucker, I think, is pretty decent. Their defense is not playing that well. They have Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is like a tiger in a cage waiting for somebody to get him the goddamn football. That showed last week, and he had a huge game last week. Big fantasy points, 3 touchdowns. Brock Bowers is the man. Brock Bowers is the man on a team that, hey, we're in Vegas, but yeah, we're in Vegas. I know Tom Brady has a little part of this team, and going forward, something's got to be done because I guess in order for the Raiders to even compete in this game tonight, I guess Ashawn Gentry is going to have to do something because the Denver defense is going to be all over Geno Smith tonight. That Denver defense is pulling in sacks on a very, very high level. So they're going to be chasing him around all over the place. So maybe you want to dump the ball off to Gentry or whatever you want to do. But I actually think that Raiders are plus 8.5 tonight. I think I think that the Denver Broncos are going to cover that because the Broncos got Bo Nix running all over the place, making crazy plays. It kind of reminds me of a young Joe Burrow when he got into the league, running around, throwing the ball at just, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, like, to no avail. Just be like, make sure he makes a play. Bo Nix kind of reminds me of that. He's got 2 really good wide receivers in Cortland Sutton and this other kid, Franklin. Running back, J.K. Dobbins. The Denver Broncos, to me, are a team that don't be surprised if you see them late in the playoffs, maybe playing for a Super Bowl, maybe trying to get to the Super Bowl. I'm going to tell you another team who I think might make it there, and they're in the other division. But I think the Denver Broncos right now might be on their way to making some noise in the playoffs and possibly going to a Super Bowl. So I'm taking the Denver Broncos tonight at minus 8.5. The Jets and the Cleveland Browns, I will address that at the end. Pittsburgh and the Chargers. I'm not going to do that one. We're going to go this way because that's the last game. So I got my all right, let's go like this. Here we go. Atlanta and Indy. You're going with the number 2 passing offense in professional football right now, playing against the number 1 pass defense in professional football right now. This is going to be a game that one's going to break and one's not going to break. Is it going to be the offense? Because if you look at Daniel Jones was the king for the last couple of weeks. But you know what? The Pittsburgh defense, they got one of the worst defenses in football. But you know what, though? They picked off Daniel Jones 3 times last week, and they murdered the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe a couple of chinks in their armor. Can you even say that anymore? But they do have the best running back, maybe the MVP in the whole NFL, in Jonathan Taylor. Taylor is going to have a huge game here. He's going to have about 150 all-purpose yards. You know why? Because there's a question mark next to Pittman's name. Pittman is a big target for Daniel Jones to have a really big day. But he's also got the tight end there, who's probably the best tight end in football. He's making him look pretty good. So between Taylor and the tight end there and Daniel Jones, Atlanta with Bijan Robinson and Michael Penix, which Michael Penix is going to show up. Drake London is, he's kind of like nursing something. He's questionable, so he may not be playing either. So I got to tell you, Indianapolis looks like a team right now that's going to also make a run, and it's going to kill me because as I'm going to tell you, and then bye-bye Sauce Gardner. I wanted Sauce Gardner gone, but right now he's going to go to the Indianapolis Colts and possibly go to the playoffs and maybe go play for a Super Bowl. I doubt it because I don't think they're going to last that long, but Sauce Gardner right now is playing for the Indianapolis Colts. This weekend he'll be starting. Is he going to be on the number 1 receiver? Is he going to be on Drake London? Is he going to be on the guy that's supposed to have the passes and score the touchdowns? I don't know. Is there going to be a rejuvenated Sauce Gardner in Indianapolis? I don't think so. I am actually happy that the Jets got rid of him. I'm also happy about their other moves too, but I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So I think Indianapolis is going to cover the spread. So I got Indianapolis at -6.5. Next here, we got the Giants and the Bears. Now, the Giants are riddled with injuries. Their defense is playing terribly, and they're riddled with injuries. Their 2 best players are out for the season. Cam Scatterboo, Malik Neighbors, they are a distant memory. They will not be playing for the rest of the season. So what are the Giants going to do? The Giants going to work on having their coach keep their job with this quarterback right now that is playing and making plays. He's running. He's just throwing the ball to whoever's going to catch it. He's a good quarterback. Jackson Dart can play football in the NFL. We can see it. It gives Giant fans something to look at, unlike Jet fans. They're going to do what they can do with what they have. Is Jackson Dart's talent and play this year going to save Dabo's job? Some Giant fans think that Dabo's in trouble. I don't know. I don't think the guy's really that good of a coach. I think they talk about how he was with Josh Allen. How about Josh Allen just a fucking awesome quarterback, and Dabo had nothing to do with it? So let's see. Is he going to lose his job? First year quarterback, Jackson Dart, he might have something to say about that. But you know what, though? He is playing his ass off. And they're going up against the Chicago Bears team, who's definitely been playing well. Caleb Williams is starting to figure it out. DJ Moore's playing some good football. Roma Dunze's playing some good football. Chicago Bears put up some points last week, and Caleb Williams is actually looking like a quarterback. I still think the kid's a little bit of a pussy, but if Dexter Lawrence is in there and he wants to sack the quarterback, that kid's going to be there for the taking. Now, the New York Giants defense has to get their shit together because in the beginning, you looked at some of these guys and said they're at least going to have a good defense. Their defense right now blew a football game against the Denver Broncos a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know what Giants defense is going to show up this weekend, but they better be the good one because the Bears are going to put up points. But I got to be honest with you. I think I'm going to go with the Giants on this one. It's going to be probably a field goal game, but the Giants are getting 4.5. I'm going with the Giants at +4.5. Ravens and the Vikings. One name. Lamar Jackson is back. Lamar Jackson's back. Lamar Jackson said that the Baltimore Ravens are going to win that AFC North. Lamar Jackson said that they are going to go to the Super Bowl this year. He's been injured for a couple of weeks. He's back 100%. And if you saw what that kid did last week, he means business. He took all the games and all the fun shit out of the locker room, walked in there. They all thought he was kidding, but he said, no, I'm not kidding. Enough of the fun shit. Watch film, practice, and talk football. You know why? Because it's football season. It's not a long season. And Lamar Jackson is a winner. He's an MVP of this league, and he wants to win a Super Bowl. You don't even have to talk about anything else in this football game. Yeah, J.J. McCarthy's back. Yeah, you got Justin Jefferson and Addison on the other side. But you got the Minnesota Vikings defense playing okay. but you're not going to contend with a pissed off Lamar Jackson with a chip on his shoulder who has watched his team lose 4 games in a row, games that if he was in, he knows he probably would have won. Derrick Henry, you're going to get off your ass and be the guy that everybody knows that you can be. Are you going to start playing some football? Are you going to start running some guys over? Yeah, because you know why? People are going to be keen on Lamar Jackson, and you're going to get your 150 yards. So what I think is going to happen this weekend is the Baltimore Ravens are going to put a staple on what they say is the AFC North, and they're going to win this football game huge. The Vikings are plus 4.5. I think the Baltimore Ravens beat the Vikings by 2 touchdowns. Then next, we got the Saints and the Panthers. Yeah, that's right. Saints and the Panthers. When they were making the schedule, I guess maybe when this came out, they said the Saints and the Panthers. Maybe they might be good. Maybe they won't. But this is not going to be a good football game. It's going to be a good football game for the North Carolina Panthers, I think, because I think they're going to come up on top of this. They got a young Bryce Young who looked like shit last year, and finally this year he's looking like a quarterback. They got some young talent on that team. And listen, they were good back in the day. They had their time, but right now they're in an insane rebuilding mode. They got a good running back, they got a good quarterback, they got a good wide receiver. They got a decent offensive line and a suspect defense. But they are playing a Saints team who is absolutely terrible. This New Orleans Saints team might be one of the worst football teams I've ever seen. No, I'm just kidding when I say that. I'm being overboard because the Jets are the worst football team I've ever seen. But the New Orleans Saints are making mistakes and not playing like a bad football team. There was rumors that they were going to trade Olave, and he was mad. He should have gotten traded. He's a good football player. He doesn't deserve to be there. Spencer Ratcliffe is your quarterback. The New Orleans Saints, I'm pulling for you this weekend because I want that first pick. I want the Jets to actually get their own first pick and build off that. They got a bunch of other ones, but I want the Jets to get that first pick. I want losses in the Jets column and wins in the Saints column. So I'd like to see the Saints win this football game at plus 5.5. But do I think they're going to win? No. Panthers win. They cover the spread by a touchdown. The Panthers win minus 5.5. Buffalo and Miami. I think Josh Allen broke a record last week for the most consecutive games with a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. He needs to be the guy to get this Buffalo Bills team over that hump that Jim Kelly couldn't get them over. He needs to take this team to a Super Bowl. He is when he's on the football field, he's the best Buffalo Bill on the football field. He runs, he passes, he trucks people, he blocks. When he's on that field, Josh Allen is Josh Allen 100% of the time on the football field. Last week, he beat his adversary, Pat Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs in a big win. Buffalo Bills, you got to show us something if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. They need to win this football game because they're playing against a lowly Miami Dolphins team. Now, they won last week. Maybe they just had a little fuck you in them, but they have zero respect for their coach. And listen, does anybody really have respect for that coach? He's pretty much like a little pencil neck geek running around with, trendy pants and, matching sweatshirts and dark sunglasses. Does this guy really know football? Or is he just like a Miami guy they pulled off the street? But the Miami Dolphins are in trouble. Tyreek Hill's not happy. You know what happens when Tyreek Hill's not happy? He's injured, but if he comes back, Tyreek Hill's not happy. Waddle was unhappy that he might have been getting traded. Says he loves Miami. Maybe he should have gotten traded. Tua. Was somebody going to grab this man and take him off the football field? And I'm not even just saying because of his play. I'm saying a couple of weeks ago, throwing his entire team under the bus, some of his play, some of his mistakes. This man has the offsets of what I was talking about before in CTE. Will somebody save Tua's life and take him off the football field? And again, he's not playing that bad. I'm not saying that. He's playing okay. He's not playing like he played 2 years ago. His play is definitely decreased. But look at him. He's got CTE. Somebody save that man's life and take Tua off the football field and make him be a coach, hold a clipboard, do something. Is it worth your life? You simply lost your mind a couple of weeks ago when you started yelling at your own team. Your offensive line should have had you sacked 100 times that day. But they let you get beat up a little bit, I guess you could say. But somebody's got to save this man's life and get him off the football field. Josh Allen's going to go out there and cover this 9.5 point spread. And the Buffalo Bills are going to march on and continue to be in first place in an AFC East with my Jets, Miami Dolphins, and a pretty strong but not strong enough New England Patriots team. So Buffalo wins this football game by at least 10, and Josh Allen keeps marching on as being the best player in the NFL. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. Now, this is a game here where defense is going to be everything. And when I say defense is going to be everything, I mean the Houston Texans have the number one defense in football. They have the number one pass rush. They have the number one against the rush, number one in sacks. They literally just kick everybody's ass on the football field. They're number one in points let up with 15. This Houston Texans defense is kicking ass right now. Unfortunately, their quarterback, CJ Stroud, on the other side, is not going to be playing. Woody Marks is going to have to come up big. He is going to have to come up huge. Not only is he going to have to come up huge, he's going to have to come up huge because my son has him on his fantasy football team. Both of their tight ends are out. CJ Stroud is out. So what I think is going to happen here is the Houston Texans are going to win this football game with their defense. Because as you say, every single week, Jacksonville came out roaring like Jaguars in that first couple of weeks with their defense. But as you can see with Jacksonville's defense, they keep slipping and slipping and slipping. Trevor Lawrence, I say it all the time, he's not a good quarterback. He's not bringing that Jacksonville team to the promised land. And they just, as usual, keep slipping and slipping and slipping. So maybe the Trevor Lawrence project might be over, maybe not. But in this game, Houston's defense might score 2 touchdowns. They're going to sack Trevor Lawrence a bunch of times. They might pick up a fumble, and they're definitely going to score at least 7 points, 6 points against the Jacksonville offense. This game is Houston at plus 1.5. I think that's crazy. I think Houston is going to beat them by a field goal because both offenses are going to be suspect, but it's going to be won by Houston's defense. Houston wins this game at plus 1.5. Now, New England and Tampa Bay. Now, anybody looks at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in first place right now. How are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in first place? You know how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in first place? Because Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind right now. He's doing everything. He's doing everything because Bucky Irving out. Questionable for this weekend. That's going to be a huge help. Mike Evans, in and out. One of his favorite targets, in and out. So this Tampa Bay offense is being run solely on the fact that Baker Mayfield is pissed off and wants to win. They're in first place right now, and their defense is playing at a high level. First couple of weeks, they play without their first and second offensive linemen. So they're slowly coming back. They're slowly getting, healthy. But Baker Mayfield right now, if it wasn't for a couple of other players, he's in top 5 for MVP in my eyes right now. New England, the Patriots. Vrabel's building something right there. I know I mentioned a modern day Belichick Brady. Listen, Vrabel is not Belichick and Drake May is not Brady, but they do have a pretty good rapport there. Their offense is running pretty good. The offensive coordinator, really good, knows his players, personal with them. Vrabel could look at the defense and say, all right, let's figure it out. I don't have to worry about the offense too much. But Drake May, sorry for you this weekend, buddy, because the Tampa Bay defense is going to beat you up a little bit. And I think that Baker Mayfield is going to run around the field a little bit. And Bucky Irving, as questionable, is still going to want to play football. He's still going to want to come back. So if he's even somewhat healthy, he's going to be in the mix too. So I think you're going to look at Tampa Bay this weekend to cover the 2.5. It's Tampa Bay minus 2.5. And my old partner, E-Dubs, shout out to you. Tampa Bay might make a Super Bowl run as well. But you know what? You don't talk to me anymore, so I must have pissed you off. But anyway, I think your football team might go to the Super Bowl this year. So look for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the New England Patriots, and that is my pick. Arizona and Seattle. Jacoby Brissett, a serviceable journeyman quarterback, going into Seattle where they have the 12th man. That's right, the 12th man is back. Their defense is finally playing well again. Sam Darnold is throwing the ball to one of the most electric wide receivers in football. Kenneth Walker is trucking people. Their offensive line is protected people. Their defense is playing well. Seattle is a viable option to go to the playoffs and another viable option to win the Super Bowl this year. They're playing against an Arizona Cardinals football team that is minus Kyler Murray again. Like I said to you before, Jacoby Brissett, a serviceable journeyman quarterback, throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., who's an electrifying wide receiver. They have Trey McBride, great tight end. Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be there? The guy that wants to come out there and play, or the guy that's like, I'm a little tired, I'm a little old. But all I know is Arizona, you got a quarterback out there, Kyler Murray, who gets hurt a lot. We have some draft picks here over here in the New York Jets. I want Kyler Murray on the New York Jets next year. You want a draft pick? Call up the New York Jets because you know what though? I'm going to go into the Jets in a minute and talk about them with all these draft picks that they got. I think they're going to got to give some draft pickups for a serviceable quarterback, and they can't wait for the draft right now. They got to try and steal one of these quarterbacks who's unhappy on a football team. You never know. Maybe somebody might come out of the woodwork and want to come play for the Jets with all these picks. Maybe they might fire Aaron Glenn. I got something. Well, you know what? I'll say this after. I want Kyler Murray on this football team. So do I think that Kyler Murray sitting on the bench is doing anything for the Jets or the Arizona Cardinals right now except being a cheerleader? No. Do I think Jacoby Brissett's going to go in there and pass all over Seattle defense? No. I think Seattle's going to cover the 6.5 and they're going to beat them by 2 touchdowns. Poor Arizona can never get over that hump. And Kyler Murray, if you want to come over and play for the Jets, we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. Seattle beats the Arizona Cardinals big. The Rams and the 49ers. Now, here we go with the team that I think, and I've said in the beginning of the year where they were a suspect pick, I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I said it here week 10. They're playing against the 49ers right now that are not the same 49ers that they were 2 years ago. Brock Purdy, not playing. Mac Jones, playing okay. The one thing that the 49ers do have is they have the best player in football. They have Captain America, Christian McCaffrey. And the reason why I know his stats are so great and why he's the best player in football is I have him on my fantasy team. Every single week, it's over 28 points. You know what that means? That means touchdowns and all-purpose yards and receptions. That means Christian McCaffrey is doing everything for that San Francisco 49ers football team and Mac Jones. Their defense is not playing well at all. They're not intercepting the ball. They're not sacking the quarterback. Who's over there? That's right, Robert Saleh. I don't know what you're doing with the defense over there, but the 49ers are kind of in limbo a little bit. One week they're a good football team, one week they're not. They let Debo go to Washington. Now he wants out of Washington. I think the Rams are going to win this football game. The 49ers at plus 4.5. I think the Rams are going to win by at least a touchdown. And I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. The Rams are going to the Super Bowl, and I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl this year. Next, you got the game that's going to get out of hand really fast. And the reason I say it's going to get out of hand really fast because Washington has one of the worst passing defenses, one of the worst rushing defenses. The Detroit Lions have the number 2 passing defense in the entire NFL. Jared Goff and company are going to do so much damage to the Washington Redskins, who are riddled with injury right now. Jaden Daniels out again. What's happening with this kid? He was electrifying last year. He was making plays with his legs. He was hurdling people. He was passing. He was scoring touchdowns with his legs. He was scoring touchdowns with his arms. He was in it. He was yelling. He was tough. He was fighting. Now every other week he's hurt. He needs to stay on the football field. Is Washington get sick of that kid and trade him? I don't know. But Jaden Daniels needs to be on that football field for the Washington Redskins to have any shot of winning. McLaurin pretty much hasn't played yet. Debo, unhappy. Is he going to try and be electrifying? You know what, Debo? Maybe you want to jump back there and play a quarterback. Somebody's got to get Debo the ball. Who is it going to be? I don't know if this backup quarterback is that good. But you know what, though? The Detroit Lions are sick and tired of almost getting to the Super Bowl. Almost getting to the Super Bowl. Almost winning the Super Bowl and not. Dan Campbell deserves to win a Super Bowl in his life. To me, he's the best coach in football. And I'm taking everything into account there. I'm taking X's and O's. I'm taking how crazy he gets, how much he loves his players, how passionate he is about football. Dan Campbell deserves to win something. And the Detroit Lions are going to take out a lot of their anger on the Washington Redskins this weekend, and they're going to beat them and cover the 8.5. The Lions are going to beat the Washington Redskins about 34-7. And when it's a murdering and a killing of the Washington Redskins, and I keep calling them the Redskins, it's the Commanders, I'm going to call my buddy Eddie out there in Los Angeles, California, and Santa Monica. And he's going to come on here and talk to me about his Washington Commanders. I've been trying to get him on my podcast, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about your Commanders, Ed, because they're going to get their asses kicked by the Detroit Lions. Pittsburgh and the Chargers. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense last week. Now, mind you, if you want to look right now, the Pittsburgh defense is dead last. But the Pittsburgh defense kicked the living shit last week. And it's just escaping me who they played last week. But the Indianapolis Colts. Back at it. Bloop. We're doing it live, right back at it. 3 interceptions against Daniel Jones. They had him running all over the place. They stopped the run. Jonathan Taylor had an okay game. This is the Pittsburgh defense that everybody thought was going to show up in game one. But you know what? They showed up last week. Because again, I had him on my fantasy team every single week, 3 weeks in a row, negative points. What the hell is the Pittsburgh defense going to do? Pittsburgh defense has to show up in this game. You know why? Because Justin Herbert, almost 2,400 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's on a mission. He wants to win. His coach wants to win. His wide receiver wants to win. His running back wants to win. They're the top. Oh, actually, the Los Angeles Rams. They have the number 2 passing attack in professional football right now. Their defense is pretty good too. And Harbaugh wants to win so bad, and he wants to win it for this kid. I've always seen Justin Herbert as the quintessential perfect quarterback. 6'6", long hair, wants to win, big arm. Got to get this kid, and you got to get him a Super Bowl, or at least got to get him to the playoffs. The Chargers are going to embarrass Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Los Angeles. Aaron Rodgers, at some point, after his 3rd interception, is going to look with that Aaron Rodgers bitch face and just going to be all over the place moping. Because the Chargers are going to kick the Pittsburgh Steelers' ass, and they're going to way more than cover that 2.5-point spread. So I got the Chargers winning big over the Pittsburgh Steelers in Los Angeles. Game of the week, Monday Night Football. Couple of good games. Don't get me wrong. Monday Night Football is the game of the week, the game to watch. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to get embarrassed by the Green Bay Packers. That's right. I said it. I don't know what Green Bay Packers team was on the field last week because they kind of plugged along. But up until that point, the Green Bay Packers looked like a great football team. Jordan Love looked like he has emerged. Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns, 2 weeks in a row. Their defense is playing. I don't know what happened last week. I don't know why they just trudged through. Philadelphia is a team where they have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts. I don't think the team likes him. I don't think he's even really a good quarterback, but somehow he makes the plays. He's got 2 really, really talented wide receivers and the top 3 best player in football in Saquon Barkley. This is not the same Philadelphia Eagles team that won the Super Bowl last year. They are up against it this year, and they are up against the team that they're going to be playing on Monday night, the Green Bay Packers. Philadelphia is at +2.5 going into Green Bay on Monday night. Green Bay is going to take that Philadelphia defense and show them what an offense looks like. And it's not even going to be Jordan Love. It's going to be Josh Jacobs. Jacobs is going to take that defensive line and push them back and score 3 touchdowns again. It's going to be a rushing attack against this Philadelphia defense. Jordan Love will be serviceable. Jalen Hurts might get hurt in this game. Green Bay wins this football game, and they're going to cover the 2.5. Now, let me get to my New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns for a second. First off, I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns are going to kill the New York Jets this week, and I don't care who the quarterback is. I want the Jets to lose every single football game going forward because of all these draft picks. Now, look, from the outside looking in, it's always the same thing. I'm a Jet fan. I got draft picks to look at. We got about 19 first-round draft picks. We got about 25 second-round draft picks. We got future 6-rounders. We got less than serviceable wide receivers on our practice bench right now. So, and we got a coach. We got a coach who at the end of this year has got to go. I like Aaron Glenn. I love you. You got to go. Here's my plan. I laid this plan out about a year and a half ago. People think I'm crazy, and I know it's not a popular opinion in Jetland. But I also have the opinion that Joe Namath is a reason why the Jets have not won a Super Bowl because he made a deal with the devil. And I know that's not a popular opinion. How about this unpopular opinion? How about we try to wrestle Shedeur Sanders away from the Cleveland Browns and we make an offer to Deion Sanders to coach the New York Jets? I am serious as a heart attack right now, guys. I am not joking. 95% of what I say is joking around and breaking balls, but I am dead ass serious right now. Let's get Deion Sanders into that locker room, get him surrounded by these football players, and let them win some football games. Let them get a leader. Get a leader of men. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to think I'm crazy for saying this. People think I'm stupid for saying this. I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying this. But I trust that Deion Sanders will go into that locker room and completely switch up the whole culture of that program. And let's bring your son along with you because I think Shador Sanders is getting a big time short end of the stick. I bet that kid's a really, really good NFL football player. Hasn't thrown a football really in an NFL regular season game yet. Looked pretty good in preseason and is getting shafted for some reason. Cleveland Browns should start Shador Sanders this weekend so the Jets could take a look at him. Now, I don't know if they can make this happen. Woody Johnson's a moron. We don't have the smartest GM in the world. Our coach sucks. Our coaching staff sucks. We're the New York Jets, and it's just never going to happen for us. But how about this? How about sometime at the end of this year, Joe Namath falls ill and passes? Terrible in Jetland, right? That would be unhappy times for Jet fans. But the curse will be broken. Deion Sanders, Shador Sanders, they come to New Jersey, come to MetLife Stadium, and they come and they bring a winning culture to the New York Jets. How about that, Jet fans? Do you see that in the future? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't really see anything in the future. Because with all these picks we got coming, I don't trust any of those guys to make the right decisions. The Jets will forever be in turmoil until something big happens. And unfortunately, it has to be the unfortunate passing of Joe Namath. And the curse will be broken. All right, guys. Well, listen up. Thank you for listening to Keep Talking 365. That's my NFL picks for the evening. Join me possibly tomorrow night. I could be shooting the breeze with an old friend. He's going to call me tomorrow and let me know, but that's a possibility. I'll put out an advertisement for that, but we are going to be back on Saturday morning. That's right. We're going to be Saturday mornings. Keep Talking 365. We're going to be sports, a little bit of everything. And I have a lot to say Saturday morning about what's going on in New York City, what happened with this mayoral election. I also got some thoughts and some more thoughts on the government shutdown. I got some thoughts on why Trump is the man. He's the man. Just listen to him. Listen to him speak. He has a lot of ideas and lots of ideas to fix the country. America just doesn't like how the message is being portrayed because they don't like the person. Doesn't matter what side says or the other side says. It's always going to be Trump said something. And if anybody out there thinks that this government shutdown is not the Democrat baby fault, you're crazy. I don't want to give money to people that don't belong here. And that is something we're going to talk about on Keep Talking 365 on Saturday morning. I want to know, when did it become taboo or racist or choose your word to be a nationalist? Because I consider myself a nationalist. I like to see the hate and the comments from people thinking what type of nationalist I think I am. But if you really want to go back to the grassroots of what a nationalist really is, I think I'm a nationalist. Well, that's Keep Talking 365 for your Thursday night. Enjoy the football games, and I will see you on Saturday morning.